What's up, dirt nerds? I'm George, and it is Dirt 30. Let's see what we're going to be digging into today. What's up, everybody? I hope you're all having a wonderful day. I know I am. Here we go. This is part 1 of the Dirt 30 How to Pan for Gold. I'm going to go through all the basics, at least as far as what I know, what I do, how I've done it over the last 26 years. I've become pretty proficient at finding the gold. I can even find the fine gold, and I have nothing more than my pan and a snuffer bottle. So I'm pretty sure I can at least hopefully teach you something. If not, it'll at least be a jumping board for finding out what your niche is, finding your flow with it. Everybody's going to do something a little different. How they stratify, how they actually wash, every to the final wash back. Everybody has their own little tips, tricks, and ways that they do it that feels comfortable to them. I'm just going to show you, hopefully help you with some of my methods, some of my tricks, some of my tips and things that I've learned along the way on how to pan for gold. So here we go. Start off with, obviously, you're going to want to pick yourself a pan. When I first started, there really wasn't a whole lot of options. You had your basic generic green pan, or you had a Garrett's green pan, or you had a metal pan. If you have a metal pan, good luck to you. There's a few other videos out there on how to process and prepare those. I'm pretty sure it's just a simple matter. You just put it over some coals, kind of burn it off, get it all cleaned up from all the oils and everything removed and burned and cooked out of the metal, and then go start panning. So I'm gonna teach you plastic pans. I have a couple of different kinds here. I have your good old standard Garrett's gravity trap. It's your basic pan, your standard, just everyday pan. This is my pan that I've had for 26 years. This thing is already well broke in, well cleaned. I've got the Garrett's little 8-inch backpack pan. Pretty much the same thing as the gravity trap, just a shrunk down size, a little bit smaller. Fits in a backpack real nice. I have a carabiner clip on it. I just clip it right to the side of my pack, pop it off wherever I'm at, and I can go ahead and pan for gold. Then of course, Garrett's Super Sluice. Great big gigantic pan. Just a monster pan. This thing can process a whole lot of material. And then your good old basic. This is an SE pan. It's a 2-stage. It has a smaller riffle side and a deeper riffle side. This is really good for doing cleanup and finish, finer materials. If you don't have a whole ton, if you're just doing some mailbox prospecting, this one works pretty good because, like I said, this fine riffle also helps you break down and wash out some of the black sands and help keep the gold in your pan. So first thing you want to do when you get a brand new pan is you've got to treat it. You've got to prepare it. You've got to get it ready for finding the gold. Just like what I said with the metal pan, there's oils, there's chemicals from the processing of this, of this plastic. So you're going to want to clean it and kind of gently rough the surface. So a little bit of soap, a little bit of water, and I use a yellow Brillo. It's a very fine, very soft material. It's not, the green ones can be a little harsh and they can really gouge it up, and you don't want to gouge it too much because that'll catch stuff, which you do want to a point, but you don't want big deep gouges because stuff will get trapped in there and it'll be no good. So go ahead, just throw yourself a little bit of soap in there. A couple drops will do you. Don't need a whole lot. Go over to your wash tub. Got mine set up right over here. Get the water in there. You just kind of start gently scrubbing it around. I prefer a circular motion. So when you're prepping the bottom of the pan, I just always get a nice good circular motion. Just that helps clear everything out. Same thing, I just keep going. I follow the edge with the riffles. I keep going, same with the riffles. And then you're gonna go up into the riffles, get all the way up inside those riffles, get on the back side of them, You're gonna want to wash and scrub every inch of this thing. Get it all prepped. Get into these crevices. This fine crevice right in here. You really want to pay attention to that too. Get all the stuff and muck out of there. Like I said, this pan has already been pretty much prepped, so I don't need to scrub it that long. You may need to do this a couple of times to get that first initial shine off of it, because you really want to get that shine down to almost a dull finish, because that'll help the gold to stay settled and not float around and run away. Because if you see water like pooling away from it, that means that it's still too solid, and there's possible chemicals, and there's possible something there that'll allow the gold to float away. So now that I'm all good there like that, said this pan has already been prepped, so when you see, I can pour the water away, and the water just doesn't immediately. Oh, here, let me get you all wet. Here we go. So you dump the water away. You see, there's just how it slowly peels off right here. You know, you want it just a real slow peel off. If it just immediately dissipates and then there's no water left around, that's not good. So this pan is good to go. Another trick to do, if you don't have a Brillo pad or you don't want to deal with any of that, you can, same thing, a little bit of soap, a couple drops in, and take yourself, oh, I grabbed my scooper. Just take yourself a scoop of some pay dirt, or just your basic sand and gravel, you know, just some good old river wash. Throw that on in there, a couple good scoops, just throw it in, get some water in there. You just start swirling it around, swirling it around. You can even do a little work with your hand. Try not to rub too hard with gravels when you're doing rocks, or if you're doing it dirt style like this, you're doing the old miner's method. This is exactly what it's going to do out in the field. Dirt and rock's going to scrub all around it. But don't push too hard. You're not trying to scar the plastic. You're just trying to rough it up, clean it up. Get your hand in there. You see how I'm saying? Just basic hand sand it. Same thing. Get up in the riffles. Make sure all the way up in the riffles. Get all these corners. And you just go back to your water. Now again, if it's a brand new pan, you're going to probably do this a few times. Maybe do that a good little while. There you go. And see, there you go. And see how long it takes for the water to break the surface and start to peel away. It's even better now than it was before. So, so now that you've got your pan prepped and you're good to go, you're ready to start panning for some gold. No, you're not. All right. So, what you're going to do now, your next step, is you're going to practice. You're going to find yourself some heavy material, and two of the best things to use. One of them is some buckshot. Just cut the top of a 12 gauge shell open, dump out the buckshot, grab yourself a few BBs, count how many you use, and throw those pieces into a pan with a couple scoops of dirt, and then start panning it down. I'll show you how I do it in just 1 second. Okay, so a real easy way to practice panning for gold. It's available in just about any fisherman's tackle box. This is a good old piece of split shot. Just a little old, here, let me close her back up. Just your little old Pac-Man lead sinker. Just your old little split shot. See, can you split it wide open, all the way open. Take yourself some cutters, cut that in half. See, now I have a little wide open Pac-Man, and you chop that bad boy in half. It is lead, so it cuts really soft. It's really easy. So now I have two pieces, right? Cut that in half again. obviously. Now you'll have 4 pieces. So you'll take these 4 pieces of lead, and you start with something big, because it's going to make it a little bit easier to find. And what you're going to do is sequentially just keep going and cutting these pieces down smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. With lead, it's a lot easier. With buckshot, it doesn't cut up real easy. So I made a couple of nice chunkies, some pickers. You know, nothing too small yet. You don't want to get too small. So I'll take these 4 pieces, and I'm going to throw them into this here pan. Scoop of dirt. Throw in a scoop of dirt, just a regular good old scoop of dirt. Doesn't have to be a whole lot. And then you're going to come over to your wash tub, and we're going to pan this out. Let's move you on over. All right, so here we are. We're posted up over the old wash tub here, all ready to go. I've got some soap in here. Now, what they talk about surfactant, jet dry is a little better because it doesn't create as much suds, but you can use some basic dish soap, just some couple of drops of Dawn in your water, and good to go. What that does is it breaks the surface tension. Water as it sits, it will, lighter gold has a tendency to want to basically rest on top of that water, because like air can get up underneath it. It can literally gold can literally float if it's a small enough piece and there isn't something across the top of the water to allow things to drop straight out, like Dawn dish soap. If you ever see the commercials where you have, you know, a whole bunch of water with oil on it, and then they put one little drop of the dish soap on there, and then the oil just gone, disappears. Well, it's moving it to the edges and dropping it down into the water. Same thing with gold. Works on the same principle. It's just breaking the surface tension so that the water can drop, or so that the gold can drop out of the water. All right, so obviously, great big rock. That's not a gold. That's not what I'm looking for. So, stratify. Gold really likes to be liquid in order to settle. It wants to sit, it wants to drop to the bottom, it wants to go down. But the only way to do that is it's got to have motion, it's got to be moving, and it's got to be really fluid. That's what stratifying means, is you're getting all that water into every bit of that dirt and getting the water moving around so that that gold can shuffle down in between all the lighter material and work down to the bottom of the pan. Now, just because you're doing this does not mean that the gold will always be right in the very bottom corner. If the material in there is as heavy as the gold is, if you have a really small gold and a lot of black sand, the gold can sometimes be riding on the outer edge of where the material sits. So like my gold could actually be right up in here instead of way down in here if I have a lot of heavy material. So again, stratify. I prefer simple back and forth with a slight, and then you just to get it all liquid, get everything moving, just keep it flat, and then as you're rocking, tilt forward just so slightly to where all the material works its way forward up to those riffles, and it's just underneath the first sets of riffles there. So let's see, I got it rocked down. Here, I'm gonna go ahead and pour off, and you can see where everything is sitting. Now I got all the materials all sitting right here. All the lighter materials on top, all the heavies, hopefully, down below. We'll stratify again, and then we're going to start the wash. And the wash is very simple. Again, pour off. That's going to force anything heavy to settle down, because as the water drains away, it's going to settle in. And then dip in, and then pull back. And you're just letting the water pretty much, you're going to pick it up, and you're just letting the water pull all the lighter material off the top. You don't have to shake it, you don't have to force it. You just keep it one nice smooth angle, and you let the water do the work. It'll carry all that light stuff right off the top, and then when you get it down, you start seeing the black sands appearing on the top edges or on the sides and across the back. You go ahead and you bring it back again, stratify it all down, get it right back down underneath that first riffle again, pour off, and then wash. When I first start a pan, I usually only do about 3-4 washes and bring it back in just to make sure, because again, if you have small gold in there, there's a high potential for the gold to be riding on the outer edges and it can easily get washed out if you're not careful. So take your time, be patient. Gold prospecting is not for somebody who is wanting instant gratification. Especially panning. If you're in an area that has very fine, small gold, you better have your big boy pants on and be very, very patient. Or you will not find the gold. You will wash it out of your pan every time. So again, just nice and gentle. Let the water carry the stuff away. So, with that said, I do know that there is no gold in here. This is my tailings that have been reran about a dozen times. So I know there's no gold in here, but there is some black sands. So, as you just say, you just keep going. So I'm gonna go a little bit faster here. This is just a practice. So we know that we're looking for 4 big chunks. Just keep washing a few times, settle it all down. Like I say, once you start seeing all the black sands and the heavies, when you are working with gold bearing material, you'll want to watch for any sign of gold. If you start seeing gold appearing up in the corners here and here, get it settled back in, give it a little blueberry bump, you know, just to knock everything in. Maybe get a tap to the front. That whatever direction you tap, that's the direction the gold's going to walk. So if I want the gold over here, I would tap over here, and you can actually watch the line crawl out of the dirt. It's kind of fun. We'll get into that later. But for now, let's see if we can find this lead shot that we put in here. Alright, so I can see I have some pebbles down here. So when you get down to like that, you can spread it out. Grab these nuggets of nothingness. These little pebbles out of the way. Those are just big heavy things that will move your gold around and it'll just be in the way. So get those out, settle the material back one more time, go ahead and pan it down one more time, and now I can see that I am down to pretty much really fine material. If you have a 2-stage or multi-stage pan, this is where you're going to want to go from your big riffles down to the next stage. And you're going to just repeat the same process. Nice and gentle, easy washes, getting rid of all that sand and extra chunks of rock that are not gold, or in this case, lead. I see lots of black sand down in here. I actually got some good black sand in here, which is awesome. A couple more little pebbles to go. Yeah, I can even see a couple garnets in there. Some of my native micro garnet. Alright, I think we're down to pretty much the finest fines here. A couple little more pebbles. So now, a quick and easy washback method. is always your basic, just swirl it around, swirl it, and you can see, yes, it will uncover what you're looking for. Only problem when you swirl is that everything's going to flow that way, even gold. And you'll already be starting with a detriment to you because it's going to already have a big field of debris covering it. So it can easily just disappear. So what I do is straight forward, straight back, and just a nice, gentle, easy rock. And that, if, like I was saying, how the gold will travel and it'll sit up on your outer edges of the material. Sometimes, you know, if you have fine gold, flour gold, the black sands will be heavier than the gold. The gold can't settle to the middle, so it sits out here on the edges. Well, when you wash this way, when you just do your bait, you know, just a rock forward, push forward, rock straight back, it pushes the water up at the edges, pushes the gold in, and then anything else, it just washes down the middle, leaves you a nice big wide clear path to see all the material going by. You can, if you know, you can see the little tiny bits of gold. As long as you got good eyeballs. Not, make sure your glasses are good and clean. But I just do, again, just a basic rock forward, pull back, letting the water do the work. The water will pull all the material away, leaving only what you're wanting to find. Just a nice, gentle, easy rock. And if you have a lot of material, what I've also found you can do, about halfway through, you pull the water back, and then just give a nice, gentle settle. That big old lead's wanting to settle with it, but you just gently rock that back and away. Then you can go forward, tip it forward, and then resettle the material that's left without all this other stuff being a hassle. And then just wash. And wash. And there's our 4 chunks of lead. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's how you do it. From here, you're going to want to take each one of those pieces of lead, cut them in half again. Count how many you have. You don't want to, if you don't want to put them all in, if you want to stick with just 4 pieces, just, you know, just keep making them smaller each time you do it until you get to the point where it's so small that you didn't find them all, and then you have to repan. Then you stop there and you practice at that level and just keep doing that until you get them all every time. So that's lesson number 1 on how to pan for gold. Very simple. It's not too difficult. There's some other things that will make it difficult depending on, again, how fine the gold is that you're dealing with, how much black sands and heavy material is present in the area that you're prospecting or mining. So I'm talking specifically about my, panning for placer gold. I'm not doing no lode mining. I'm not doing no hard rock digging. This is just in the water, digging in the dirt as it goes that way, because that's all I really have access to. So there you go. There is lesson number 1 on how to pan for gold. Well, on how I pan for gold. Okay, not bad. So again, it's up to you, because there is so many different types of pans out there. The gold claw, and there's so many different styles and colors and options and variations to choose from. But 99.99% of the time, when you get a new pan, you're gonna have to clean it. You're gonna have to prep it in some way to ensure that the gold doesn't float away, or you're not dealing with contamination from the oils and chemicals that they use when processing and manufacturing pans and other equipment. It's always good to give everything a good wash. Sluice boxes, it's always good to wash everything off. You know, give it a good scrub. Make sure that there's no chemicals, no oils present that can contaminate your sample and cause your gold to float right up and out of your box or out of your pan. So preparation is always key. Another good tip for you, classifiers. You don't always have to go to a specialty store. You can find some decent little classifiers at your Goodwill. These are barbecue grills of some kind, or colanders. Work very well. I've got this one was a barbecue one. That one works really well. Fits in the top of the bucket. You work with what you can, right? If you're on a budget, or if you're just in an area that there's no supply area available, there's no mining supply store nearby, and you're not want to pay shipping and all that from eBay. Well, I tell you what, I paid $2 for this one, and I want to say that one is about a good 1/8 inch hole, and it's a full wire basket. I set it right into my pan, dump shovelful after shovelful into that, and away I go. You know, same with this one here. You know, this one is about a good 1/4 inch. It's a little bit bigger, but I only paid like $2 for it at Goodwill. So you can use materials that you can find locally at your Goodwill store. A pan, I do recommend getting a decent one. My personal favorite is the Garrett's. That's what I've always worked with, always had. I would love to try one of those gold claws someday. It's got to be in the budget. I've already got a lot of equipment that I already have paid for that works very well for me. So, sorry, bugs are going nuts up here. All right, everybody. So there is part 1. I will be bringing you in very soon for part 2, probably the next video, and we'll be getting a little bit more in depth into as far as you know, breaking down thicker and heavier material, like with more black sands and finer gold, and how I work through that nightmare job with just a pan. So, all right, everybody, you know what I'm going to say. You have yourself a wonderful afternoon, a wonderful morning, or a wonderful evening. Wherever you are, it is Dirt 30. Go dig in that dirt. Go look for some treasures. Go hunt for some relics. Go dig for some gold. Whatever you got to do, whatever you want to do, it is all out here waiting for you. You just got to get up, get out, go do it. See you soon, folks.